Start here then. Should we get going?
Yeah, I'm going to go if you want to introduce.
Alright, let me just pull up the forum thread. Did you get any PMs? You probably should have checked that first. You can go through them if you got any PMs. I didn't get any. I'm not popular enough.
I didn't receive any either.
There you go. Yeah, I got it. So,
Also,
first off,
the recording has been set up and it's recording right now, so everything's ready.
oh right, yeah. This. Oh yeah, we should probably announce ourselves then. The ones talking right now is Regen. Neka, you wanna announce yourself for people listening in?
And
Sure.
this
Hi,
is Freestyler,
Neka.
and that was Neka.
The one talking underneath him. Alright. Thank you everyone for showing up. There's still a lot of people showing up, which is great. I love it. We're gonna go through more questions from the the topic first, and then people are probably gonna be spamming us with questions as we go. You are free to chat about what we are chatting about in the community meeting, currently called Archive because I'm a lazy butt, which we will probably be looking at while we talk, but we'll try to keep it, try to keep conversation floating in between us and not stop all the time to read your little meme chat. Yeah, thank you for joining us. I think the first one to post in this thread with their question was, oh right, we should probably say we have set up a schedule of 2 hours now where we will be doing questions and all that, and then we'll do the last hour with more discussion about things that people wanted to talk about. I think there was questions regarding admin complaints and kind of a controversial topic there. So we'll take that up in the last hour so people don't get salty until the end. Yeah. First question was from Love to Hug, which is actually for the maintainers, I believe. Why is the feature 3 so strict as to deny even desperately needed improvements like cleaning up the admin logs, or even minor things like letting the claw mask work with internals? It doesn't seem like feature 3 really increases the frequency of fixes either. Is it really going to last until the end of the year? As an aside, it was really pretty unfair to Kiep, who got hit by the feature freeze when he was forced to split terror spies into multiple PRs.
So I've spoken to the maintainers separately because of that question and gotten answers from them. Nothing direct I'm going to read out. I've just talked to the people, so I'll explain that a bit more.
Hold on, mate. Try to have the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth. I don't think people can hear you very well.
You said I was fine before, you bastard.
You were fine. Now you're not.
That better?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so the feature freeze is, for a start, something we don't want to do. Ideally, it wouldn't be happening at all. We really don't. How's that now?
No, that's too much, mate. Stop trying to breathe into the mic.
Talk next to the mic, not into the mic.
Come on, dude, this is basic.
Too right, cunt. How's that?
Better.
Moving it like half a centimeter at a time.
Yeah. The only problem is if you actually breathe into the microphone, it will fuck up the audio. Yeah, so trying to deep throat the microphone. Shizok is not a problem, eh? Put it on your chin. Yeah. Okay, try again.
Okay. How's this now?
You can always increase Nicoladon's voice volume if you right-click him and drag the little sliding bar up. Alright.
Okay, so as I said, the feature freeze is not an ideal situation. We're not just doing it for the shits and giggles. We would prefer not to be doing it at all. As things are, DZD has currently just started college. So that's really delayed his time. and we are looking at getting new maintainers. Part of the reason for it is between DZD being into college, Fox being busy, and a lot of other things, we just simply don't have the time to have every PR properly reviewed, and we prefer a freeze rather than the potential of broken PRs going in and no overall oversight. So it's definitely not increasing the frequency of fixes or a lot of other things that we would like to go through. We're hesitant to allow one thing and change the rules for it because that will open the flood doors and mean it's not really a freeze. Hopefully it will end before the end of the year. Basically, the nerds are unable to keep up. It's giving a bit of time for discussion. Hopefully when the freeze ends, we'll have a lot of things very quickly merged and submitted. The fixes themselves that are coming through, anything with priority will be done, but stuff like the admin logs being fixed up has been an ongoing process forever. The admin logs we started with at the very start of the game were completely different to what we've got now. I don't think we even were able to investigate the singularity or anything, so unless it's actually a desperate fix that's stopping us from functioning, which we don't have any real problems with right now, I can't see that ending suddenly. To go on with the terror spiders, that was basically shit timing, but hopefully the multiple parts of it will be able to actually be brought in one at a time. I believe there's one PR currently open for it, if someone can confirm that.
The terror spiders, I believe there is one, like, bare bones PR. Yeah. Okay, I fixed it. Personally, I want to see terror spiders go through. I think it's a fucking brilliant idea. I love it. I've looked at the wiki page. I think this was brought up last time as well. But yeah, I digged it. I want that shit added. But of course, I understand the problem with the original pull request being that it was too large of a PR for us to take directly into the code base. I mean, when you try to view the actual changed files in the PR, your browser would sometimes crash, which was not ideal for reviewing code. And while it's unfortunate that Kiep's PR got hit like right in the middle of his him uploading the files and all that, it's something that was needed to keep the maintainer sanity. So yeah, I'd like to get that added. It seems like something that you can't just power game by removing this single wall and then just running through the entire thing, or keep pushing girders forward and not getting hit by anything. So I would definitely like to see that added. And yeah, Mark VA likes us to. Hopefully, we can get Mark VA back. Ha ha ha! Hint hint.
Yeah, that would be great. Someone of the quality of Mark would just be amazing. If anyone in the channel is as good as Mark is and is listening, just let us know.
Mark is in this channel, I believe.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Can we have
but to give a bit more about terror spiders, that is the kind of thing we'd love, and I do think it's kind of unfair on Kiepo that he has had to split that up with the actual timing of the freeze. So that does suck, but I've talked to him and he understands that, it's obviously not targeted at him. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll actually be able to merge that and a bunch of other things, and people have a lot of time to not just work on their PRs by the end of a feature freeze, but to also basically think them out a lot more. I've seen a lot more detailed discussion on the suggestions board about things, and I think the feature freeze gets people time to really flesh things out. It'll also let us know what priorities we want. But to be honest, we've in a lot of ways wanted a feature freeze for a long time. Just because there was a huge amount of time that we were implementing things that were basically in beta mode. Beta. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much. Are there any more quick questions anyone wants to throw about the feature freeze, or move on?
I think we're Gucci. I think we can move on to the next one.
Read it out.
Yeah. From Scientific. I think that's how you say their name anyways. It's for you and Freestyler. To the head of staff, what are your plans for the next month, 3 months, and a year? With regards to the Paradise, what do you want to accomplish by the end of the year, and what do you want to do next year? That's the big question, isn't it?
You want to go first, Free?
He's dead.
Nah.
All right, so let me just look back. My plans for the next month mainly involve real life. For the next 3 months, I would really say it's mostly to do with server stuff and maintainers. Number one is, as I said, always survive and just keep plodding along. Over a longer term, we do have various projects and plans. Most of what I do is, surviving in administration. So just basically keeping things clocking along. Most of my work on the server generally involves handling out of game stuff. I haven't actually been online much in the past week at all, I think. So a lot of that's to do with mainly involving maintainers, code, and getting all that stuff fixed up over the next 3 months. To be honest, we don't really have year-long plans. That's a long time to think of. There's a bunch of pet projects I'd love to do in that time. I've been throwing around map change ideas myself, and various stuff to do with the ongoing idea of starting a Patreon. But any actual further expansion or anything like that, I honestly really don't have the time to do. I'm mainly in just keeping things going and keeping things running and keeping a handle on all the salt and explosions that this causes.
Yeah. I think our biggest project that we've discussed of literally all the years of Paradise has been creating our own map. Something that's, completely Paradise, not based on some box map or whatever. But it's proven time and time again a very big project, and usually it's only one guy who has the time or sanity to do it, and they just get stuck up with all the small details that has to go into a map. I mean, I think Cogworks used a year or more curating Cog Map 2, which kind of goes to show how much time it takes to create an actual really, really good and solid map. Yeah, Freestyle, you want to take a crack at that question as well, or should I move on to the next one?
Well,
Seniors as well.
I mean, Nick outlined the major stuff fairly well, but in terms of more minor stuff there are plans for like a Discord emoji contest. That's a bit of a spoiler, I guess.
Yeah, getting more emojis.
Yeah,
on
getting
the
them.
Discord is our 3-month long plan.
Yeah, the meme contest basically. And otherwise, I'm not sure if you noticed, but we do have a lack of admins being on lately. Like there's some shortages. There's some time periods when there aren't as many admins on for the amount of players that we get. So that's also a plan we're looking into. Well, a solution really to that. So otherwise, yeah, that's just one of the more short time solutions really.
Yeah. We did have a complaint from one of our admins today, I believe, about there being a very dry period of admins. And I can understand people having a life, people having things that they do. And sometimes you will have periods where maybe all of the admins that are usually on that in that time period will be, busy. They're outside, God forbid, or they are just sleeping. Maybe they're sick, which is much more likely than them going outside anyways. Yeah, those are some of the things we're trying to fix constantly, having admins on the server. And I think Scientific also had a question, well, 2 questions in one, really. To senior staff members, if you could change one thing about Paradise, what would it be? What would you like the most, and what would you dislike the most? What do you like the most, and what do you dislike the most? Change one thing. I'd like to change our I'd like to change either the space, how space works, or how damage is being handled. Personally, I think that the way damage works is a bit too bare bones. I think it could be a lot more interesting. Yeah, LifeWeb. I think that some of the combat mechanics in game is way too RNG based, and you just feel cheated out of your life when you just get you have a double E sword, some mug runs up to you and disarms you, he pushes you over and he takes your double E swords and then chops your head off. It's not fun. What do I like the most about, I'm guessing, Paradise? I like our unexplainable amount of players, because I can't see why we would have so many players when I wouldn't call us bad. I'm just saying that I'm not sure what is that we're doing so good that makes so many players want to come and play with us. Which is kind of one of the things that well, I can't explain it, and that's the thing I like the most. And what do I dislike the most? I have to say the amount of just cuddling on the server. So pizzazz. So many people. I shouldn't call. I'm not going to call anyone out, but just people taking the game too seriously and making it kind of like Second Life instead of a robust spaceman simulator in space. That's my little pet peeve, I guess. That was a long question. Yeah, my RP. Yeah, that's. I'm not very big on having Paradise being a Second Life server. We have Second Life for a reason. I want people to kill each other. I want action to happen. I want people to be fucking smart and do amazing things as traitors. That's my vision. Yeah.
I'd also just like to add in, as I was reminded of what my plans for the next month to 3 months is, which may answer a few other questions and lead to many more, is a full review of the rules. We do actually have one sitting around currently that my last draft Tully went through, but there's still a whole bunch of things that need to be added to it. Yes, all the nitpicking, the phrasing, the wording. Last I checked, it was 9 pages, so that's obviously too long. Or 10 pages, whatever.
Oh boy, that's going to be
so
fun.
Yeah, 10 pages of new rules. So looking at the wording of rules that we didn't like, looking at new rules kind of entirely that were always there, just kind of unsaid. Obviously 10 pages is just way too long, so we've got to get a real mix of not giving every single example specifically spelled out, but also making it clear. We also have to make it clear for people who don't speak English as a first language, people who are 12 years old, and of course people who are autistic, like half of our admins.
2 rule sets might be a little bit too much, but I understand where you're coming from.
We did.
Yeah, we looked at that.
Yeah, we did throw that idea around.
Yeah, Roman, I don't think we're gonna have 10 pages of rules. It would be a pain to enforce, and it would be a pain to read through. So, yeah, we can get back on the rules another time. Oh yeah, we did add a new rule today. One of my own creations about flavor text. We can go through why that was added a little bit later. And I can explain why I felt the need to put forth that suggestion, because that's how it works. I don't know if people know this, but the way it works with senior admins and all that is that any senior admin can put out a vote, and it'll say, you know, I want to change this, and because of some changes we did a few months ago, maybe 5, Nickelodeon changed it so that if there's a favor to the vote between senior admins and head admins, then it will go through. So no single head admin can go in and change things as they want to. However, any head admin can veto the actual vote. You know, so to say that they have a little bit more power than the seniors. But yeah, we can go through why I put forth that change, and it did go through, as you can see. Yeah, let's go through more questions. Oh man, this is a long one. I shouldn't have gotten that soda. Yeah, I could elaborate on server hierarchy as well. To the admins and relating staff, in regarding the way servers treated the same way as it was back then when it was listed on heavy RP, and a way this should be at least changed, if talked about, if not changed. Did I butcher that very badly?
Not that badly. First of all, I'd just like to
Bad.
say we were never heavy RP.
Yes.
That was never ever the intent. I know a lot of people say we were heavier roleplay, and the whole heavy to light roleplay thing is incredibly subjective. One of the big things that's different, of course, is just the raw number of players. One of the biggest influences there, I think, is being on the actual top of the listed list is most likely to get brand new people. Will obviously click on the top thing there. And I've never wanted the kind of server or community where someone who is entirely new, not just to Space Station 13, but to role-playing, is made to feel unwelcome because they didn't role-play the right way and broke my immersions. On the other hand, I understand the frustration of seeing people not role-playing properly, or more so, not role-playing at all whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just reading over the rest of that question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of it. The biggest thing that bothers me is that the round's going for 2 hours on average. Getting through this as certain job is painful, especially if you play roles that rely on Antag activity to have something to do. Back in the listed days, you could pass this time by RPing and being social. Since the server has become listed, it's a lot harder to pass the time this way, and as not as many people are willing, and those who are from listed days are rarely interact with those outside of the group. Another note related to 2-hour rounds. I think if the round ends with a transfer, I think that's a failed round. Okay. I think you meant delisted, so basically what he's saying is that he enjoyed unlisted days because people would RP more, because if there's nothing happening in the round, at least people will RP with you, right? Which comes to problem that I think is that a job, when people have a job to do that relies on other people being mischievous, if that's a word, it can become very stagnant if that doesn't happen or you don't notice it. A thing that would help with this could be having specific job objectives and tailored to their job, something that would be only for them. we have that already for roboticists making mechs, I believe.
Sounds right.
Yeah, they have like an objective, complete this. So what I would like to see is, for example, with miners, they would have an objective to get X amount of ore or X amount of rare precious materials within a time limit. If they can complete this, they will get a higher pay. A medical doctor, what would their objective be? Yeah, see, that's the problem. I can't come up with an objective for medical doctors, but something that would give them more to do. I think. Oh yeah, I remember an idea that Dean Hall had was that you could ship in patients that had an issue with them. Perhaps their lungs were fucked. Something needed to be done with them. So what you did was that you ordered them from Cargonia, or you order them from some special console, and you would get like a sick person or a damaged person, and you had to fix them up and send them back, and that would reward you somehow. So yeah, legless great height sentient crates, exactly. Something along those lines. Obviously, this has to be thought about and balanced, and there's probably tens of more people that have better ideas than me on this. But that's something that could be done. Or VR with medical doctors. So if you have nothing to do, you go into VR and beat some guy to crits and then fix him back up. That was half of his question, I think.
The other real thing there is about Antag.
Yeah.
Which Scientific also speaks to there. And honestly, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about in various ways.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it over, and it's a bit generic, so I think I'll just answer it on and Scientific's here so we can clarify. But in general, I think Antag rules are too unclear currently.
Yeah, because I've seen people say like, oh, you can't do that. You have a very small margin of what you can do as an Antag. But the way I see it is that if you have a decent enough reason to do something, you can do it. For instance, if your objective is to get the hypo spray, I'm not going to stop you from breaking into the captain's office and get his spare ID to use that to open the chief engineer's, the CMO's locker, right? If the captain happens to be there, well, he needs to be killed because he just saw you. That's not a problem. The captain can be justified being killed in almost any scenario because he does have all access, and almost every objective as an Antag requires some form of access. So I don't see a problem doing that. But yeah, I'd definitely like to expand and explore what kind of formulation we can have on Antag rules that doesn't limit them to be in a very, very narrow path to getting possibly Antag banned. Give them a little bit more leeway so that the round is a little bit more interesting. And personally, I like the idea of, yeah, you died, but that's your fault. Kind of a Dark Soul-esque thing. You died because the other guy was better than you. That's how it is.
The main thing I want to avoid with Antagging and Antag rules is people treating Antag as just a license to grief, and the idea that they can kill whoever they want, do what and try to do as much damage as they can to the round. That's really not the intent. Also, you guys are way too good at that. I assume that of the more robust players in this chat channel, if any of you were given the opportunity to just have given the objective, get the shuttle cold, I don't think 5 minutes would be too bad a timetable for most of you, especially with 20 fucking telecrystals. And yeah, I meant you most of all there, Scientific.
Yeah, you're way too good at griefing. Goddamn. Yeah, that's kind of a problem with SS13, is that people get way too fucking good at it, and then they become a powerhouse when you give them the right tools and objectives. So some way to limit people from flat out getting invincible Hulk with the sleeping carp memes, stuff like that.
One of with Tigroon's thing there, I think that's a good example. It is really hard to mix roleplay and Antag because it's really hard to roleplay while you're trying to pull out your e-sword and kill somebody. That's also why I'm generally for Antags that can at least stun and or take off radio for people, because the biggest problem with Antags is all it takes is one radio message and you're fucked. That ruins roleplay for Antags in such a huge way.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's it's a very fine line to thread for us as admins, having to tailor the rules to be fair, but not side with either or the Antag or the station, which is very hard.
The classic is we're trying to balance it for everyone. So any Antag rules, we want to make it fun for the crew just as much as the Antag. And being that the Antags are the minority of any round, it's a really hard mix to do.
Yeah.
On that, there's a point that Scientific brought up to me a while ago that I think was a really good one, was that a lot of people see as playing Antags as the real game. Everything you learn from every other department is relevant and useful to being an Antag, and being a better Antag requires the real test of showing all of your knowledge and skill at the game. So I understand why it's way more fun. As an admin myself, who can basically be an Antag whenever I want, it ruins a lot of the fun there. So I'd like to see more and encourage, for instance, nuclear ops is really, I think, the real show of robustness and the ultimate one there. And I like to think as traitor less of that and more of a chance to do something specific in a specific way.
Yeah. Yeah, nuke ops is very, very interesting to see how some people actually communicate. The only problem I see with nuke ops is that you are not sure if your teammates are competent enough. So more often than not, I see like this one guy trying to get everyone to shut up and listen to him, and one other guy just says, "Okay, fuck it, I'm gonna get everything geared up so that I can survive." And one guy that says, "Oh fuck me, I can't play nuke ops. I don't know jack shit about this game," and ends up, floating into space or fucking up using his jetpack or something. So I know that nuke ops can be very fun if you're very coordinated, but it's the constant fear of having one or two incompetent people on your team that makes people play it as a single player Antag. Yeah, exactly. I remember playing nuke ops with I think it was Shadykins, when Shady went into the station with just a chameleon jumpsuit and an EMP implant after using their PDA to determine that the captain was a IPC. So while the rest of us managed to sneak into the ship, we just waited for them to come running with the captain's actual corpse and just saying, "Okay, get the disc." We got the disc, planted the nuke, and then we left. Nobody knew that we were there because the captain was alone in an IPC, and they just instantly died. So in one way, nuke ops can be very easy if you have a few competent people on your team and you're just very lucky. Other times, someone presses the wrong button and kills themselves at the start of the round.
So in general, I think a lot of new objectives would really help for that, as well as really looking over not just how the current objectives exist, but what the actual wording of them is. I think we could do a lot of good with changing assassinate ones to be just not just kill this person, but there was a thread recently about having various likes and dislikes listed for your characters. Even if it was just a reason like kill this person with an e-sword, scream for the syndicate before you do it, etc. Could really change and give people flavors to do it rather than just going the standard kill person route. They'd look at doing it for a reason and giving people a way to react and, role play about the actual issue.
Yeah.
All right, I can go to the next question. Read it out.
Yeah, I'm having people PMing me. Right. We went over scientifics. FPK, isn't that face plant con? I can't remember. FPK.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
face plant.
Yeah, on the question of game balance, how do we maintain a balance where the average crew member is unlikely to survive, yet through teamwork or specific gear is able to survive? In other words, how do we make threats hard for the crew and their resources, but not seemingly impossible? And I think that's the golden question. How can we make this game hard, but not really?
I
How do
really don't think
we?
balance is the right word to use in a lot of this.
Yeah,
Balance is a thing that really applies to games like chess, StarCraft, paper, scissors, rock, and I don't think anyone is looking for anything like that in Space Station 13. And I really don't know what a better word is, but I don't think balance is really what we're talking about here.
yeah. The other thing, balance concern wise, in Space Station 13 is damage numbers and stun duration. If you have a weapon that instantly kills someone, that's unbalanced. But I'd rather have game aspects and things in game that you could use to counter specific scenarios. And basically, if you're smart and be able to react to a situation, you are able to counter it, but only through experience, for instance. For example, if you have the anomaly, you know that you can run up to it with an analyzer and send a signal to it to disable it. But if you don't, it will explode or it will create plasma or something bad will happen. Your entire office gets teleported away. So
Part
it's
of
a
it is
very hard
also
question to
the
answer.
burden of knowledge.
Yes.
Fox has talked a few times about how we maintain the burden of knowledge in this game. And being open source, that means we can't really have any secrets. And in general, you guys are pretty good at not keeping secrets. So, like, new tactics are generally put on the wiki and talked about and shared with people. I haven't seen people be particularly elitist even with their mean chem mixes. You guys seem to all love discussing what the best mean chem mix is. And
Except Fox.
so I think I get it. Yeah, I think it's great that there isn't that kind of elitist secrets kind of culture here, as that really turns off new players. However, it's really hard to balance the game around someone who knows very little for Space Station 13 compared with somebody who regularly reads the code and reads all new pull requests and knows the damage values.
Yeah. Next was from FPK as well. How do we maintain a game balance as to ensure we can have an RP environment while still allowing chaos to thrive? And that's well, the thing is that what do you define as RP? Because you can RP perfectly fine in a chaos. I think a problem we have is that we rely too much on the player to RP, and we don't have enough in-game elements as to affect the character in a way. Except for instead of having the player react, we should have the character react, sort of. And yes, I'm taking inspiration from LifeWeb again. What I mean by that is, for instance, if your character gets hit in the face with a fire extinguisher, they will take damage. However, if that happened in real life, you would be screaming from pain. You do not do that usually in Space Station 13 because you're clicking furiously on the character trying to hit them back. So while I would like to add it, I think it would be a very big project, and that goes back to the whole damage system where yes, we do have a paint thing in SS13, but it's very, very bare bones and very bad. It's recalculated every tick, I believe. I can't remember, but it's not its own damage value. You can't have weapons that deal more pain damage than another. They'll do the same amount. Surgery on live people spawn screaming and force. Yeah, if you do surgery on on awake people, yeah, they will scream, but it doesn't have any effect. For instance, in LifeWeb, if you were to do surgery on another person, they would probably go into cardiac arrest. I would like more like that. You have consequences for doing things that would scar your character. If in life web you see someone get your arm lobbed off and you're usually not used to seeing that, then oh my god, your character is now scared, and they get a bad moodlet. So I would like to see more forced RP elements for your character, to kind of force people to RP it as well. But that's a very controversial thing. I know that there's people who say, we shouldn't force RP on people. That's stupid. For instance, you shouldn't force people to not know about Antags, for instance. So
Well, the
it's a
classic
very
thing there is we have two ways of forcing roleplay. One is through the rules, and enforcing it as admins, and other is through the actual game mechanics itself.
yeah. I'm just looking at people who are asking me.
I'll go through FPK's other questions there, which was, how do we determine if a change was successful or not, and whether or not to revert the change? How do we ensure that there exists in multiple viable options for the crew and antagonists? An option being too overpowered or too underpowered, even in specific situations, proves to be another problem as well. Or to sum it up, what I'm asking is, how do we balance our game as to make it fun and fair for everyone involved? I'm not saying an assistant should be able to go toe-to-toe with a Xeno. So yeah, I agree balances should exist, and I think one problem is everyone has a different idea, and we just have to get understand that this is, a compromise between a lot of these different things. And I have different views, Regan's has different views, we argue on them constantly. So it is a constant balancing thing, and we're basically doing the best that we can. And one of the best ways you can contribute and help is actually write the code and put PRs in. Or if it comes to the rules for Antags, actually writing out and discussing and talking over that stuff, and writing up suggestions for rewording when we put the new rules set up, helping us out nitpick over it, but also being understanding on the need to compromise most of all.
Yeah, I've seen tons of people, that they come with good suggestions, but as community admins, we need to ensure that we not only, we can't just instantly say, okay, we're going to remove a certain race because we don't like it or it's detrimental to the server. We can't do that because suddenly we got 40% of the community angry. So when people write us suggestions, we do take them to heart, and some suggestions are really good. We can rewrite them, we can use them directly, or we can take inspiration from them. But a lot of people think that even though their suggestion is good, we can just throw it out there. Which is, where was I going with this? Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they suggest things, don't see things from the wider perspective better, the bigger perspective. There you go. And that's something that we need to watch out for, I suppose. Fuck, I can't talk today.
That seems over for those forum threads. So do you want to get in the 20 million we've been posted?
Get in.
As in read them out.
Yeah. How do we ensure that there exist multiple viable options of crew and antagonists? An option being too overpowered or too underpowered, even in specific situations, proves to be another problem as well. So how do we ensure that there exists multiple viable options for the crew and antagonists? As in, I would believe he's talking about, the example would be the Tesla versus the Singularity, where the Tesla is just flat out always better. And there's always, a specific toolkit of a traitor that will generally be better than anything else. And while I understand your question, there is so much fine-tuning that we need to accomplish for that to happen. So it's a process that we need to slowly work into the game. And while I'm not a very big fan of the Tesla, I can see it being a very fun engine for people who want to see big lights. Personally, I would like something like a tier system where you have the Tesla being the easiest engine to set up, but also the one that gives the least amount of power. So you wouldn't have your station topped off all the time. Maybe you'd have to set up solars as well to keep the station actually functioning completely. You could have the singularity as kind of a medium thing where yeah it works fine. It's not as safe. It can actually be released by just giving it too much power, and it gives radiation and a nasty EMP if you look at it. It's too bad. And then you can have something like the supermatter or the tag engine, which are much harder to set up and much harder to maintain, but could give a much better trade-off with power. And the fact that, for instance, the supermatter doesn't have such catastrophic outcomes when it does go haywire, and it's much easier to dispose of. I don't know how many have tried to actually stop a singularity that's been released, but I'm fairly certain it's actually impossible to stop it unless you can get a bomb close enough to where it doesn't get deleted, but it actually explodes and destroys it. But yeah,
Clown into it, that can actually kill singularities, or
yeah,
make it worse.
yeah, exactly. And with, for instance, Shadowlings who always prawl in main, like that's all they do because that's what their kit is for. And same with vampires. I would love to see more ways for them to complete their objectives. Like how you had Changelings before, where you started off really weak and you could, you had the stun and the mute sting, and you could just powerhouse after that. But now we have kind of a more adaptive style where you need to absorb someone and you just get a predefined amount of points, and you need to readapt your style based on how the round goes. I think that's a lot better. Yes, Mark
I
VA
think
is working on tag.
I think part of it is that the metagame catches up pretty quickly to the best options for things.
Yeah.
So unless you know you've got an easy win or you've got enough time to do it, you don't go for the other options.
Exactly.
So, if you are kind of bored of a lot of the best options and stuff, try other ones. And, don't respect people who use the cheap, easy ones as often. I don't think that means Tesla is, especially if you know new cops are on their way, then yeah, just get the Tesla up as quickly as possible. But I've seen the singularity is used a huge amount, regardless of the Tesla's basic superiority there. And I think that's great because, that's just a choice. That's in some ways almost a role-playing decision that you're making. Why do you use Lord Singular? Is it because what you want, or is your character an old classic who doesn't believe in this newfangled Tesla technology? Because back in his day, a black hole was good enough for us. So we get a lot of different things and changes like that. And I think we've all seen many different things be the superior, best way to be something, and understand that when things change, that will likely change. And if you know of some particularly overpowered meme chem mix or something like that in general, assume the rest of the community knows about it and look at actually changing that. And potentially look outside the box, because there's still probably incredibly broken tactics and things that are out there in the game with the code as it is now that people just either aren't exploiting or don't actually know about. Like, potentially no one.
Yeah. I've seen there are some things that most people don't know. For instance, there's a lot of people who, when you run from security, they will screwdriver the door behind them, and security would just stop dead in their tracks and say, "Oh, okay, we can't open this door. We're fucked." Well, you can use your ID. If you take out your ID and use it on the door, it will open. So now you know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's an example of just something that huge amounts of people don't know and shows how this knowledge in Space Station 13 can change.
Yeah. Or you can place a signaler on the different wires, and you can open a door, close the door behind you, press a button, and suddenly it's bolted and electrified. It's great. And that's the kind of things I enjoy seeing, like someone being very thorough and very smart about how they do things and use obscure game mechanics that nobody else does. Fucking love it. Seeing people doing like labyrinths of doors running from security is great. We're at the last one, yeah. To sum it up, what I'm asking is, how do we balance
I
our
already
game?
answered that.
Yeah, we asked. Oh, yeah, we did. All right. And then we should probably move on to the meeting questions. Oh man, there's a lot.
Yeah, I think we should go through them decently quickly. Stop getting
Yeah.
sidetracked, etc.
Yeah. When is the fix patch going through? Still tired of failing, and so leaves the station. So must not leave the station alive. When they don't leave the station, also invisible bottles. Earth Divine, didn't you already update the server? I don't know. Yeah, those are fixed, but are they patched in? I know they are fixed a long time ago, but they need to be actually put into the server. Hopefully Earth Divine can get
There's a
on
patch,
that.
yeah.
Oh, so the answer is we'll patch yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Telecommunication scripts. There have been some intricate CSS scripts to mark up things lately. There have been a little polarizing. Some people really like it, others think it's too much. It's pretty good. It would be good to get the admin started on these. Okay, so what they mean is the badges you get in telecoms. People have been making scripts to make these little badges next to people's names. And the problem I see with that is, yeah, it makes it a little bit more readable, but it's supposed to be a communications channel with your headset. Making it visibly better also kinds of ruins your immersion, because how do you actually see the improvement for yourself? Your character gets a message through their headsets. How can they see the CSS little mark things? And personally, I didn't think they looked that great. I thought they were kind of annoying. So if I was the RD, I would probably run up there and delete it ASAP.
I'm more of the opinion that we should probably remove or incredibly nerf telecoms almost entirely. It is not worth the amount of code that it takes up, the actual server resources, and is limited to a very few amount of people can actually access it. And then you're adding something that is not up to your character or dependent on it. You're adding code that's, it's literally metagamely written. I doubt
Yeah,
very
it's
many
always
people
complicit.
ever write the code in game themselves.
Yeah.
So I think telecoms is fundamentally flawed, and many servers have removed it. So
Yeah.
opinions are divided, but yeah, that's something we want to look into heavily in general. But of course, my suggestion of how about we remove it entirely has problems.
Yeah. It's a very big question about metagaming, because most people will just copy paste it. Most people haven't even made the scripts. I didn't make my scripts. I got other killer to make them for me.
I've
But
never used a script.
Yeah, things like making your text bigger as an AI, I kind of enjoyed doing, because it could make me stand out more. And people would react to it as if I increased the volume of my voice as an AI. I thought it was hilarious, because I would just ramp it up even more and make people bleed from their ears. But yeah, that was just me. Does the admin team feel there's enough staff currently to keep up with the server population? If not, are they planning on hiring more staff as a result? And I think we already answered that question, but we can go through it again.
So what we're looking at there very much is, yeah, we hired a whole bunch of people to cover the Eastern European time zones. I think we've got most of the Russian border covered now. And it seems basically a lot of people have had to start college and do other things, especially in the US time zones. So we are going to be looking at hiring any more. I don't think we'll be opening admin applications. We'll most likely be going through the applications we had from last round and selecting people who have were borderline cases before who have shown in the last few months since then that they're suitable candidates. So yes, we want more admins. And if you already put in an admin application, yeah, you'll be probably considered.
Oi, the thing about
If all of you players stop being shit, we wouldn't need so many admins.
the thing about admin applications is that all the time we are considering people, and it's not like we are, having a huge spreadsheet and writing down names and such. It's more of how do we talk to you? How do you respond to the community? How are you generally in OOC? How do we view you as a person? So when, for example, Nickelodeon says, okay, who do you guys want for admin? If I'm sitting with a really good feeling for a person, I could say, oh, I recommend this or this guy because they have shown great interest in helping the community, or just being an all-around great guy. So that's kind of what we are looking for. We are subconsciously always judging everyone on their ability to admin. I think that's the best way to put it.
I think we're just subconsciously judging everyone always.
But that's you. I can't take credit for being able to do that. Most of the time I just don't care. Shit. There we go.
Next question.
Yep. It scrolled me down. Let's see. Here's a good question. Any chance of the server being hosted professionally? Longest 63 megabytes download ever, and ping it goes to shit all the time. And yes, I want the server to be hosted professionally. I want it to be hosted in some big data center who doesn't care about there being a little bit of lighting outside, and being a little bit better positioned to give a better ping to everyone in the world. Is there a chance for it? Very much so. But the thing is that we need to weigh pros against cons here, and we have a very powerful server hosted for free at our disposal, which we use now. So whatever we're getting should be up to or better the PC specs that we have now, and it must be affordable enough for us to do it long term. And
I still say we should host in Australia.
yeah, not gonna happen, buddy. I have been looking through, and I want to move our website off the actual server box and move it to somewhere else. So if the server goes down, if Thor is being angered again, and Melandor is currently battling lightning, we would still have the forum up. So people who see, oh, okay, the server is down, but it's right here on the forum because people are telling me. A big problem we had before Discord was that the server would go down and we couldn't even relay the message to people saying, hey, the server is down because of lightning. So I would want to move the forum at least to another server so that we could still shit talk each other while the server is down. But
And at least tell you when it's going to be back up.
yeah, but in the grand scheme, my biggest wish was to be, get a server on a dedicated server, have everything set up nicely, have everything being updated automatically, everything just on rails. That would be the best. Do you have anything to add?
No. One thing that would be the biggest thing, biggest change, and the most work we kind of would ever have to do to actually move the entire server. So it is a big thing to do, and isn't.
No. You
very
say
simple.
we, but I'm saying I. It's gonna have to do the most amount of work installing the forum and everything again.
Yes, I mean we.
What are your opinions on the RP level of Paradise? How do you plan to improve it? That was through Prototype Nitro. My opinion on the RP level of Paradise, that depends on what do you define as RP. People running around being in character, that's fine. People are actually acting like they're in character. However, the level of specific character RP, RPing your job, I would say isn't actually up to par of what I want it to be. I don't want a engineer to run into medbay and say, yeah, my arm is broken and I think my appendix is inflamed. I have an inflamed appendix, whatever. And then, go into surgery and fix his own arm or whatever. I want people to RP their job, and I want people to have restricted knowledge of things outside of their job. I don't want the security officer to say, hey, I need some holy water, and then go into chemistry to make the holy water himself. Or people saying, "Oh shit, we have cultists. Go get the chaplain. He can deconvert people easier than me. He has a higher chance to roll or whatever." That's what I want of RP levels, and I don't think that's up to par right now.
I think in general, I'd like to see people roleplay a lot more. I think the term roleplay is something we can discuss and means define a lot. When one person says they want more roleplay, as Regan said, that he doesn't want people fixing themselves and acting unrealistically in that way. When other people say roleplay, they mean completely other things and other elements. But in general, I think people should be role-playing more, except the people who role-play way too much and over the top, you people should role-play less.
Perfect. And then, do you guys plan on moving to xenforo? That was Scrub McNoob. And I think that's more of a question for me. And I would say, well, I haven't worked that much with xenforo. I've used it a little bit. It certainly has a little bit better better system for installing plugins and customizing your server forum a little bit better. But PHP BB3 allows me to customize a little bit better the way I want it. And another problem is that if we were to move to xenforo, I'm not entirely sure how we would do it. Is xenforo free? I can't remember if xenforo is free. Xenforo being the new type of forum format, and PHP BB3 being the one we currently use. Yeah, it's not free, but it's a one-time payment. What my dream forum would be is the IP boards. Envision Power. They have amazing forums, but unfortunately they have also a monthly subscription thing. But the amount of things that they offer you is just huge. They have a very good UI, very good plugin installing things, and a very good support feed. They're great. But yeah, they cost a lot to have each month. Yeah, it's $30 a month, and we can't afford that right now with the meager donations we get, and potentially having to host our own server. Let's see. I'll talk to you later about that, Scrub. Yeah.
Yeah, you two talk about that, and then both tell me and everyone else what you think is best, and we can work that out. Especially if we move our servers or move the forum to somewhere else.
We'll look into it. I know for a fact that Envision Power allows you to convert your database into their database format. So if we were to move, we wouldn't lose much data, as in forum posts, etc. But I don't know if xenforo offers the same migration technique. So if we were to move forum, we would also lose everything we have on the forums, which I don't really want to. Next was from Geodin. We currently only have 2 arcade games. Would you choose your own adventure kind of one to be out of the question? Choose
not
your
at
own.
all.
It wouldn't be out of the question.
Oh God, no! If you want to make that and put it in, I think
I would love that.
arcade games we could do with heaps more of. I see no reason that, work on a fuckload of them, bug fix the shit out of them, and once the feature freeze ends, submit it.
Yeah, I think arcade games are one of those things where you can really explore your limits in the Biond engine. I know that you can use the Nano UI to have JavaScript, which really opens a lot. We have the chessboard, for instance, which it's just a game in a game, and you get the tickets and everything. But yeah, with an arcade game, you can add something that's completely your own, but you don't have to think about balance so much in game. You'd have to think about, okay, how hard is my game to beat, and how much tickets should it give to beat it. But other than that, you can have it the complete way you want it, which is kind of cool. And you get to explore the possibilities with emags. So if someone emags your game, how will you make it harder? How will you make it harder? How will you make it punish people who lose? And how will you reward people? For instance, with the outbomb Cube and Pete, which is great.
But yeah, basically anything like that where I can't see any reason why not. So do it.
Exactly. This was from Anon Voxy. So I'm guessing Anonymous Vox. Pros and cons of listing/unlisting. What would be the best way to transition between the two? Can we regularly tweak it on schedule? If not, what is stopping us? Very quick, we can change list and unlist on a flip of a button, flip of a switch, whatever. It's basically just a drop-down menu where you choose between public, private, and invisible, I think.
Yes, while rebooting the server, though.
Yes, so it's very easy for us to change the how it's viewed on the hub. The problem comes with us deciding how do we want to run the server, how do we want it to be, because there are very big differences between having the server listed and unlisted. Some of them being when we're listed, we do get a lot more players, which can be much more fun, but it can also be very much more taxing on our admins. And RP does degrade quite a bit when we have 100+ people on a server. So the thing about having it unlisted is that we get a lot fewer people. We get around we had like 40 to 80 people all the time, I think, with population dropping to 20 sometimes before we went listed again. And we also had the problem with these meta groups of people because we didn't get any new people in. We just had the same people all the time. So you would have like these friendship groups who were talking to each other, but very much so not with anyone else, which sparked the whole meta cliche thing. Meta click? I don't know.
Meta
Thing.
clique.
Clique, there you go. I'm not native English. God damn, it's a weird language. But yeah, meta click, fuck me. That was one of the main problems we saw with having it unlisted. What about delisting now? Hold on, I can't see it. What about delisting now? We have plenty of new people who know about the server that could last us for a while. And yeah, the one idea is to constantly list and delist when we see the problems arising. When we see there being too much new people, when the gray tide is really ramping up, we could unlist, and then when we see that everything stagnates to a halt, we could relist again to get some chaos in. The problem I see with that is there being too little consistent gameplay, because gameplay does change quite a bit when you list and delist. So people who just want a consistent server will be left out from this whole dance of change of listing and unlisting.
The other major thing is who's actually making the decision. Currently, it's not. It's whenever we're rebooting the server itself. So, the person who's doing it and has agreed on that, generally, admins will at least have to agree for that. So, getting everyone together to list and unlist rapidly isn't currently something we're set up for. We could look at changing it so that if there is at certain times, or if there's too few admins or the like, we could delist. But I'm not sure exactly how we should do that or when we should delist or unlist. And seeing people's opinion on it is interesting, but we do want to stay listed generally as much as possible. We did delist the same time last year because of a lack of admins from heaps being busy, which seems to be a yearly thing. So now that we've been up 3 years, we can start to take note of said patterns. Next question.
Next question. My thing keeps scrolling down for some reason. Are we going to get horror form links from the respected man? Horror form links are changelings who go into horror form. I think it's from Dune Station, where they basically get better punches, and they are pretty much immune to stuns, but they keep losing their DNA. So it's basically a Hulk mode. Basically, I will kill and punch everything. You don't have to ping. I think it's fine. And when are we going to get? I would like to see it implemented because it's a really cool feature, but it would have to be after the feature freeze, and it will be someone would have to code it. So we can't just say okay, add it, and then it gets added. We need someone to code it, and we can't exactly force coders to do things. They are not hired; they are volunteers, and we appreciate them very much. Please don't leave us. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. Whenever the feature freeze is over, whenever someone actually wants to take it up, you could bother some coders. PM them and continue to bother them until they make it. That's how we do it.
Okay, we're a fair bit way through of the elected time, and I'm just seeing the amount of questions here. So as you said with coders, I'm just going to rapid fire a couple now. What are the odds of ZAS ever being re-implemented? I'd say it's about 0. Other plans for changes for Kidan in the future, lore or features? Yes, there are. Lore team will probably want to say something there. Does anyone here actually speak for any of them at all?
Tully, Mr. Lore nerd.
Tully's at dinner.
Tully, you want to speak?
He's at dinner.
Yeah, he's making food, I think. Fox species. Yeah, flattest. Where are you,
Well,
buddy?
I can't necessarily speak for any of the specifics wise, but I know that they have been working in unread messages all the time in the lore team channel. So I know that they're working. I don't know any of the details, but I am sure that some of that stuff's probably going to actually get implemented.
Yep, that's False Incarnate, by the way. The guy who works at Olive Garden.
Yeah, I'm on break from work. That's the only reason I was able to join in today.
Yeah, I figured.
So sorry for not being able to make.
So basically, yeah, we're actually doing some lore changes for pretty much every species out there. We only have, I think, 2 different species left to go. The rest of the lores are pretty much finalized. We're just making sure everything is up to par with what we want it to be. And we're probably going to be pushing out the lore pretty soon, though I can't give you a proper timeline here.
The problem, well, not the problem, but the thing with lore is that it will not actually impact gameplay or game balance. It will not live side by side with in-game content, unfortunately. We might change that in the future, but right now we just want to flesh out the lore and make it a little bit just more than what it is right now. And then maybe when we are comfortable with what we have, maybe we start to make changes in-game to reflect on those lore changes.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry to interrupt. Good example of cases of where the lore doesn't really match up with gameplay. Anybody remembers back in the day, Greys used to be able to get killed by showers. That was something where the lore matched the gameplay, and it kind of didn't work out well. That's something that we kind of want to avoid. I'm pretty sure that their page still says that they're weak to water and can drink acid, and that's not the case. I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole lore about Vox being very scaredy cat and not doing well in command positions, while we constantly see Vox in security and command positions in game. Let's see. Next question. God. How come modes like Abductor and Blob aren't in rotation? And I'm not sure why exactly Abductor and Blob aren't in rotation. I think that Abductor is a really fun game mode, and Blob used to be in rotation, but it was bugged, so we have to take it out because it kept crashing the server.
It was in rotation last I checked.
Blob is in the rotation right now, and Abductor isn't included because it's kind of
It's an event.
boring. Yeah, it's an event more than a game mode. I mean, once you figure out that there are abductors around here, you're just gonna start examining everyone, and they're gonna be caught pretty soon, or they're just not gonna be able to do anything and affect the round.
Yeah, that's the problem with abductors. Because they are very easily counted by knowing that they are abductors on the station. So if they do up getting very easily killed, then it's basically just extended plus.
So they're just better off being random events than an actual dedicated game mode.
Yeah. Sorry about that. The question was Blob's abductor. Okay, whatever. What's actually going on with senior archaeology? I've heard things about being a new version coming up. Also, what's with the hidden alien research level, and how do you do stuff with it? A hidden alien research level. I have no idea about. That's something I'm actually not familiar with.
Closest I can think on that would be either some space ruins or maybe a mining reward room. That's kind of an alien tech themed.
I think
I don't know
Gateway?
anything about those myself.
Yeah, maybe Gateway.
Xenoarchaeology was actually, well, there are plans to rework it completely, and there's a team on the staff that's kind of working on it. And yeah, there are kind of big plans to completely change how it works. Instead of going around looking for oxers, so you kind of look for artifacts on the station, which would lead you to some sort of a dungeon. Thank you, X Game.
There's plans to implement it. The only problem is that it's such a huge project that it needs to be very carefully planned out, and then it needs to be coded and sprited, which is a very big part of the job. And I think it's Jedder.
Yeah.
Fuck, do you say his name?
Jared, I just call him Jared.
Jared. Right, Jared. He's working on it. I've seen some sprites from Fifths. I think it's good. I think it's gonna be good. I hope so. Our sprite is the best. Next one. Think it would be possible for rev leaders to defeat the heads of staff for making it deliberate without their subordinates making a huge bloodbath or explosion crater out of it. For example, strapping them to the execution chair on the bridge, forcing them to kill each other, or put the last survivor on the asteroid, ransom them after getting rid of the nuke, and DS, etc. from robust toolbox. I'm not sure
Yes,
if I
it would be
understand the question.
possible.
It would be possible.
Actually,
yeah.
a lot of that wouldn't be possible because it'd be impossible to code to check if that's exactly how they're killed. Rev hasn't been worked on for fucking ages, though, from what I know.
Yeah. I like the idea, but it would be very hard to code. But you're free to do that if you are a rev leader, and you say, you know what, we're just going to round up all the heads and we're going to make them fight to the death in the bridge, and everyone is going to watch. It would be fun. I would give you karma for that, like a lot of it. It would be very
Hey,
fun.
even if you lose, the mean text is better than the green text.
The meat, fuck me. Somebody quote him on that. It's gonna be some guy's forum signature now. Would it be possible to expand the security to allow 2 detectives? They are often in great demand and actively supports good roleplay and devours and devious subtle antagonists. Of course, there's a possibility. We could just, very easily code it and map it to allow for 2 detectives. I think a problem before is that the detective was kind of powerful with his revolver, but it shouldn't be that much of a problem. I'm not really seeing any other reasons to not have another detective other than, there being a small clash between them. But if people feel that there are in need of 2 detectives, and I can see that there are, then we should definitely look into doing just that and adding another detective slot. Yeah, you can just split it up in 2, or you can just make another office. I've seen some stations do it at least.
Next.
Question. Would it be possible? No, hold on. You guys have any idea how to fix signs yet? No. Other than being a very easily power gamed game of remembering what to put into the machine first. I don't have any good ideas on how to fix it. I would love to see it being fixed and being more of an actual game that you need skill and being clever to do. But for now, it's going to remain that little dance of getting you the right materials. Is anyone currently in charge of rewriting the AI laws? No.
I wasn't aware that that was a thing that was needed.
I don't think they need a rewriting. I kind of like the way our AI laws work right now. We haven't changed them in a very long time.
Like, what kind of issues are there that there needs to be a rewrite of
Yeah,
some?
if you have an issue with them, or if you have a suggested, I can't talk today. If you want to suggest how to fix them or change them, you can do so on the forums. But right now, I don't see any issue that would really. I don't see any big holes in the laws that would enable the AI to go haywire, for instance.
Yeah, we get occasional people being stupid in their way of interpreting the laws, but it really hasn't been a theme I've seen for quite a while. Honestly, even AI job bans on AI have been pretty low lately.
Yeah. Genetics and obscure jobs are seeing serious issues regarding core mechanics being RNG. Is there anything in the pipes that intends to alleviate or fix these issues from Mindleaker? And I understand the issue being with genetics. You just press a button and hope to get a number higher than DAC, I believe. And yeah, it's very annoying. But the problem is that we don't really have any other ways to make sure that it's a system that takes a little while to progress through. And
if I can interrupt, doesn't Goon have like a mini game tied to their genetics? I mean, that's something that we could potentially look into, but I don't really know how well that would work in terms of like preventing it from still being something you just memorize and go at.
They do have a thing. It's quite fun actually. And yes, I love to implement that. They have a thing where it's you have these genes that are well, hold on, let me restart. Every person have a set of deactivated genes in their body. You can activate those genes by completing your sequence, and I can't remember what it is. Is it 80 to? It's 80 goes with BC. I can't remember, but basically, A always belongs to T, and let's say B always belongs to C. So you need to fill in the blanks in the sequence, and then you need to activate the gene for it to actually take effect. And by doing this, you will activate the genes in a person. And then when you get enough research material and get high enough of a tier, you can reshuffle people's genes or get DNA extractors, which in turn you can give yourself, so you get that specific kinetic power. It's a lot better than what we have now because it also implements currency, because you have a currency in your science account. So with that currency, you can upgrade your computer with, for instance, faster cooldown on your emitters and all that kind of stuff. It's really fun. So I would love to have that implemented on Paradise, but I'm not sure how well received it would be because it's a flat out copy of what Goon has, and I don't know how easy it would be to implement either.
Well, with the Goon code having been released, I think that it's more feasible now than it would have been, say, a couple months ago. I don't know necessarily how the rest of the coding team feels on that. It's a pretty big change, and anything that touches genetics is already kind of like black magic for most of us. Same with Atmos. I'm sure that somebody out there probably would be willing to nut up and do it, but it still ultimately comes down to Fox and DZD on whether or not we really want to blatantly take something from Goon.
Yeah.
Port.
Yeah.
They're not open source anymore, though.
Yeah, but their open source release has that genetics in it. Melandor, can I take 2 minutes to talk about something important right now? I need to leave. Yeah, sure. Melandor. Someone unmute him. There you go. All right, you're live, buddy.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I don't have a car anymore, but I moved to the city. That is the reason I don't have a car anymore. So I need to move my server to my new apartment because I can't just keep it where it is at my old place. So that will happen tomorrow. I finally got the answer. They're doing it tomorrow. It's my parents who are driving it over here. It will be disconnected sometime around 1 p.m. my time. It's 20 minutes to 10 right now, so you can figure that out yourself. It will take a few hours for it to get here because I will be at work. They will have to get to the city, fix their errands, then come here and drop it off. So the server will be unavailable for a few hours. Then when I get it set up, I won't have the URL pointed to the right IP address. So it will take probably a day before nanotracing.se actually points to the new IP address. So we will have to be using like just an IP address until that happens. So I hope everyone can understand that I don't have a control over this. It's just like, oh, we're doing it right now because we have errands in the city tomorrow. Oh, okay, all right then. So I'm sorry.
Okay, so we can expect some downtime tomorrow. I guess we're gonna have to do an announcement of it on the Discord and maybe on the forum as well. Could you PM me the details so I can remember it for later?
Yes, I will write this in the admin Discord once I get done with what I'm about to do. So I am leaving now, and thanks everyone.
All right, have a good one. Yeah, there you go. Where were we? With the server population, yeah, with the server population, it is sometimes silly easy to ascend as Shadowling. Although plans to increase the goal of 15 trolls and make it flexible depending on server pop. There is possibilities for that, yeah.
Yeah, it's noted that Shadowlings are winning way too often and most importantly way too easily lately, so that's looking at changing.
Yeah, we could make the numbers just scale on how many people are on the server or, you know, alive. But we'll have to see about that. That's a balancing question. And what are the resource requirements of the server? As far as I know, speed and, you know, the how good the server performs is really up to how good of a connection you have, based on downloading resources, but also on how much and how quick your RAM is on the server. I think Fox did pretty extensive testing on this with TG, when they upgraded the server, and they saw a really huge performance spike when they got DDR4 RAM and a lot of it. Before we believed it to be a processor thing because it's single-threaded and it can't take use of more than one core. But I think after that they actually discovered that having a faster RAM would severely increase your server performance.
Yeah, Melendor could have answered that. So the timing on that sucked, but it's mostly a powerful single core that we need because Beyond is ancient and shit.
Yep.
We've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to quick fire a few of those, especially because a lot of them are along the lines of, for instance, can we fix the Horribad PAI window thing overall? Yeah, we can. If it's fixed, it should be able to go through. Any of that requires coders. Second question, why can you not make crypto keys? Hop, even though not implanted, can get access everywhere. Why not give the same power to RD and CE? I can't see why not. It seems just someone overlooked that. You should be able to make more, honestly, or at least some way of printing something with the right access.
I think that encryption things for your headset is actually based on your access now. So if you have access to the bridge, you have access to the command channel or something. I can't remember. I think Tiger knows more about that.
Would you consider giving Chaplain Holy Nova? He deserves some maybe channel encryption keys can be made as well. I have no idea what Holy Nova is.
I'm guessing some kind of
know what it is?
bell.
Probably
Yeah,
not
probably.
valid. Chaplains are too much of a valid hunters as it is now, and I think that should be discouraged.
They do have a lot.
I'm aware there's a feature freeze, but the Changeling randomly converting other people is really an obnoxious problem. This is made worse by not being able to transfer the DNA from the CMO's computer of staff member onto disk. Converting someone's DNA, even with a UI sequence, takes 30 to 60 minutes of writing block by block. Can we functionally add functionality to import DNA UI sequences from the CMO's laptop to disks? Sure, we can do that. When you say we, who is we?
That would be a coder thing as well. You know, I would love to see it happen. It's definitely something that needs to be looked at because there is a changeling thing to fuck with people, and then there should be a way for the station to react to that and fix it somehow. So kind of an oversight of a changing power that's basically irreversible. But yeah, I can see the problem, and it deserves a fixing.
Is there any admin ideas how to make security experience less stressful and more enjoyable for people? More donuts.
Yep.
Donuts and coffee always help when it comes to security. Other than that, don't have the harm baton up your ass the whole time. You know, if somebody's got a good story, roll with it. See where it goes. You know, if somebody's willing to put the time into role play back, because that's how you get the stories.
And I think don't see yourself too much as the people whose job it is to beat the Antags. Don't sweat it if the Antags win. That's not the point. The point is that you meant to, play a game and have fun. So don't feel obsessed with having to win as security.
Yeah. When it's ghost table flipping coming back, never. Fucking instantly tables being flipped everywhere. All the shit going everywhere. Oh, it was horrible. I think that's all the questions, unless you have some stored up.
I've got a few stored up.
Oh, go for it then.
Okay, so the other ones I've got here is about Antags, specifying that wizards seem the only ones allowed to freely murderbone, which is definitely not the case.
Yeah.
So who can freely murderbone and not? New cops can, but it's kind of a dumb idea to. It's a waste of ammo.
The waste of ammo and time.
Yeah, but fuck, I'd love to see new cops planning that more and rather than trying to get the disk first thing you do is sabotage Atmos, then you kill everyone in the bar, then you leave and come back 10 minutes later, etc.
Yeah.
No one really should be murderboning, though, ever. If you're just going out there to kill as many people as you can to be a dick, then you're being a dick.
Wise words.
You should at least have some good reason for the murder
Yeah,
boning.
slaughter demons can kill anyone they want. That's true. That's kind of their whole
Another
deal.
thing, if you're going out there and you're trying to kill people, don't be surprised if you get killed back. That's one of the things that annoys the admins the most, is when an Antag complains that they were killed. Chances are you instigated it and you deserved it.
Yeah.
Granted, sometimes that's not the case, but if you're a new cop and you get robusted, take it in stride. Learn from it, do better next time.
That is true. Nukes who spare people would be interesting as long as they go spirit and you can go with the armored nuke. Okay. Keep the salt in dead chat. Do you have any more? Go.
Actually, I got through those quickly. Most of them were people PMing me directly about stuff, which I'll respond to after this. I'm obviously kind of busy now. But the last one here is a very deep and interesting question. I think would be good to end us with this. No more questions. From Evil Dog is BUTTBOTS when?
BUTTBOTS. I recently saw one of Hippie's videos, and I thought it was amazing, where a guy, he farted his own ass off, and then Hippie instantly just ran up and took his ass and used it as a hat, making him a literal ass hat. I think that is such a great and good game mechanic that we need to get on Paradise as soon as possible, because obviously, how have we survived this long without having someone's rectum on your head? You know?
So I actually have a serious answer to this, and BUTTBOTS, I say never. Because as I agree, I think there's been too many little things added like that each individually is kind of funny, but has added up to a lot of roleplay element on Paradise. There's no one thing by itself that I can particularly say is over the line, but there are plenty of different things that have added up to just be a bit too silly, whether it's farting or anything like that. By themselves, they don't seem too much, but BUTTBOTS would definitely be going over that line.
Yeah. Although that is a great story, but honk.
So one of the questions on listing delisting was what's the general admin consensus on it? And in general, I would say it's mixed, utterly.
Very
but
mixed.
there is a lot more towards of a preference towards by default staying listed. But there's a lot of different ways we'd like to do that, and at different times.
From my experience, the opinion usually changes with time. For example, when I think a year ago, when there weren't that many admins on, there were like a ton of players on, everyone wanted to delist, so there wouldn't be as much, griefers on the server. But then when we delisted, after a while, everyone got tired of the staleness that came from the delisting, from all those issues that were mentioned before that came at delisting, and everyone wanted to relist again. So that's the main issue here. Like varies, because we see that what the delisting does to the server is not what we want from it. So we try, to relisting again, but then we face the same issue again. So this time we're trying to approach it differently by, instead of delisting, trying to get more admins somehow, as said before. And someone just brought up, and happy birthday, False, of course. And someone just brought up delisting on weekends, and that was mentioned before. That would create a kind of split in the way the server works. Like on the weekends, it would be, delisted weekends would be, much more calmer and way different compared to the weekdays, which would be listed and as chaotic as usual. So that kind of dissonance, I guess, isn't a good thing. It's inconsistent.
So the last thing I guess we should talk about is the actual meetings themselves. In this case, as we're looking at hitting about the 2 hours now, again, we got most of the questions in the actual meeting itself. So I'd just like to encourage people to think over them when we announce the next one, to write them in advance, as that can really get us to be thinking about it beforehand, and maybe even talk to some of the people we need to. And also, if you can, try to keep the questions decently enough concise.
Yeah, buddy.
As it is now, though, does that seem... I know you're the one mainly doing it. Should we wrap up now if there's no more?
We can wrap up the question and answering part. We're not going to unmute everyone just yet. I did say that we could talk a little bit about some of the topics that were brought up in the Space Station 13 chat a little while ago. You don't have to be here for that. I just thought that it would be a much better setting to talk about it now, other than instead of having people screaming at each other in the Space Station 13 chat.
Do it.
Yeah. More radiation belts. But yeah, we could say that for now, the meeting would be officially over. So if you want to leave, when the meeting is over, that would be the time to do it. But yeah, I could go over some of the things that were taken up there, if people are actually here to talk about it, because I can't remember what exactly was said. I just remember there being a lot of people who were very upset. So if some of those people are here now, they can come forth with their anger right now, and I'll address them.
I just want to say right now, everybody get on Fox, tell them merge nanomobs. Do it. I'm kidding. I'm actually going to be doing some more work on that. But on that topic, though, even though we're in a feature freeze, we'll still take suggestions. They won't get implemented anytime soon. Feel free to continue posting new stuff on the suggestions forum. Please do not post anything like rewrites as, because we're not going to do that ever. I know that was already brought up, but that's the thing that annoys me the most. I'm a long-time Atmos player, and I hated Zaz. I mean, it was only great for two things, and that was emptying and filling rooms. That was it.
Yeah.
I think the best answer for Atmos is to make it more dangerous, make air pressure do more damage to people, make coldness kill people faster and everything. But I think the actual Atmos spread system is fine as it is.
Yeah. Let's see.
One thing that I wanted to possibly bring up amongst coders at least, but I figure bring it up now, get some general opinion, is possibly reworking how pipes work. We don't currently have pipes bursting. I think some other servers might. I don't know which ones offhand, but like if the pressure builds up too high in a pipe, it could actually burst and then release all that gas into the tile. That could be an interesting thing for the atmospherics team to have to worry about, because that would make them a little more conscious of their setups and whether or not it's really worth flooding the supply loop, keep it fully pressurized all the time. So stuff like that could make Atmos a little more engaging for the player, because right now it's a very much reactionary job.
Yeah. Let's see. People were bringing up certain staff members' hypocrisy regarding something that they themselves used to do in the past. I think that counterfeit brought up something with Dreadweaver, and while his behavior was borderlining the unacceptable for a time, it did end up getting him banned. And his history with the admin team might have given him some leeway, but he was very much looked at as a shitler by the admins as well. So I think that one of the things that allowed this to happen was that people were kind of afraid to ban him for the shitstorm he would create. But I don't think that we have that kind of thinking in the staff team anymore. Yeah, full fuck them. And I've seen people are always on Reddit and whatever. They are complaining. They're saying, "Oh my god, this admin is shit. Oh my god, this and that." And what I always tell them is, send the evidence to me. Show it to me. I'll look at it. And 99% of the time, it's either just bullshit, they don't have any evidence, or it's completely opposite of what they're saying. Like, I'm happy
The best
to
line is
overlook.
when they're like, "Oh, it was a long time ago. I don't have it."
Yeah, exactly.
Then
yeah,
why are you complaining about it now?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and I can understand using it as an example. But if you have a case that was a long time ago that was never resolved because you couldn't get off your ass to do it, I'm sorry, but I can't help you anymore. If you have a problem with an admin right now, or in the close few days, just PM me right now the evidence that you have, and I will look at it. If you really fucking hate Nicoladin, then PM me and I will get him banned. I just need a reason, man. Just give me a reason to fucking get him out, and I'll
I'll
do it.
ban NECA. I don't care. Did I put NECA or did I put free in the timeout that one time in admin chat? I actually removed their ability to speak in the chat.
It was probably free.
Yeah, it was me.
On that a bit more, we do have logs from basically forever. So if you have something from the past, and especially if you have a date and a specific time, as well as even just posting your own logs, or if you can know some specific phrases said around the time, that really helps us with logs. We do take actual admin complaints seriously as much as we'd like to dismiss some of the more stupid ones. And even if you're not even specifically aware of if something was wrong and just want to have it checked out, we'll happily do so. If you think something has happened, contact me personally if you want it to be anonymous, or post an admin complaint. We can't go through the logs for everyone every day. Plenty of admins are online by themselves a lot of the time, and unless we have a reason to look into the logs, in general, we won't.
Yeah. And also another thing with admin complaints is that people are saying that nothing is being done with them. Well, the thing is that if you make an admin complaint about something, say, False Incarnate, he spawned himself as a standalone nuke ops with an M6 saw, L6 saw, and he killed a lot of people. Well, we will look into the specific case, and we will check the logs, and we will, get everyone's story and see what it adds up to. If it does turn out that this was not very good conduct from him, we will talk to them and we will say, this is not good. You don't do this again. And we will explain to them why it was wrong and how they can prevent that from happening again. And that will be the slap on the hand. We want our admins to be better. We don't want to fire them and say, okay, you fucked up this once, get out. Because good admins are hard to come by, and I'd like to think that all our admins right now are good. So I'd rather not, throw them away. I'd rather, help them fix what they did wrong. So
Next time,
while-
use God mode.
yeah, god damn it, dude! You need to use God mode to kill everyone, don't you know?
You only killed 3. Use God mode next time, and you can get more.
Yeah. So yeah, you say that nothing is being done, but we are talking to the admins and making sure that our message comes across, so that they learn, so that it doesn't happen again. Now, obviously, if you make a complaint and the admin does it again, then that's another problem. That means that they haven't fixed the behavior, and then we need to look further into actually giving them a punishment. So if you
On the
think,
flip side of that, though, if you put in an admin complaint and it's completely frivolous, like they messaged me because I was doing something wrong, we're going to look at it and be like, yeah, they're supposed to. And that's going to be the end of it. We're not going to
yes,
bother looking into that. So
yes,
people who complain nothing gets done about admin complaints, half the time, they're not actual admin complaints. They're just the person whining. So the other
yeah,
half of the time, we actually do stuff, but there's no obligation for us to necessarily make that public. Just like you sending in a help about the griefer over there, we are not obligated to message you back telling you that we banned that person. Half the time, we won't. I try to every now and then, especially if it's somebody who like straight up interfered and like killed like 6 people. Like, yeah, I'll be like, okay, that person's gone now. Sorry about that. Here's a revive. But we are under no obligation to actually tell you when action has been taken.
yes, exactly. So if you have a legitimate admin complaint, if you believe that what the admin did was out of line, or even if it was something that per definition was in line, but it was something that really ruined the experience for everyone and it was only fun for the admin, you can make an admin complaint. Just remember to have all the facts there. Give us dates, give us examples, give us screenshots, give us logs, so we can look through it, make it easier for us, and have it in mind that whatever you do, it's to it's to help the admin, not do it again. I understand if you hate the guy's guts because he was an idiot, but we really want to give everyone a second chance, even if they're an admin and they break a rule or whatever. Of course, we hold admins to higher standards when it comes to following the rules, but it's not a if you break it once, you're out forever kind of thing. And as Free said, yes, we do not inform you that, yeah, we talked to them and they cried for 4 hours and,
Yeah, let's be honest. If it was a case of you screw up once and you wouldn't be an admin anymore, Free wouldn't be a head admin, let alone an admin. We probably would have kicked him out years ago for his puns.
his puns are crimes against humanity.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
they're actually listed in the Geneva Convention as restricted from use.
Yep. Yep,
we
I
haven't
know
signed
this.
the Geneva. We're allowed to use chemical weapons as well.
I think if you do above the limit of 5 puns a day, you are actually to be executed on the spot, in the most painful way possible. Trust me.
But on some of the stuff that's been brought up here, and in regards to admin complaints like that, very similar to banning, we don't really have any specific ban times or things that this must be banned for, even on first offense. And a lot of people seem to think of bans very similar to space law. If you do this, it's a 10-minute thing. If you do this, it's a permaban. And that's not the case at all. Anything that's breaking the rules, whether it's for admins or players, what the actual punishment meted out is really differs on exactly what the person's intent was, what the circumstances were, how often they've repeatedly done that, etc. For instance, if an admin breaks the server movement, as has happened any of the time, that's obviously a mistake. If we found out they were intentionally doing that, that would be a massive fucking problem. So when it comes to bans as well, you'll see that someone was being a shitler, but they're still around later on. And if we've talked to them and we may have found it to warn them, they may be job banned from their roles or anything like that, and you won't know that. Feel free to ask if something has been dealt with, and please try to be polite about that, because it's fucking annoying when you're trying to talk to someone to have the other person pinging you going, have you dealt with that shitler yet? But if you do think, for instance, an admin's being way too passive on things and someone hasn't been punished enough or is able to continue doing something you think was wrong, ask them.
Yeah.
It may be that it's legit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Another thing, on the admin's special secret club clubhouse wall, we do have recommended ban times, and like the first line in that is these are not to be taken as like standard. These are, if you don't know an idea, here's an idea. Use your discretion. If we get somebody who comes in and they accidentally kill somebody, and it's clear that they don't know what they're doing, you know, they killed somebody, but they didn't attack anybody else, and it was clearly an accident, and they're apologetic about it, we might let them off with warning, or we might be like, all right, take a day, read the rules, come back later. Somebody comes in, they do that, I message them, and I'm like, hey, why'd you kill that guy? And the first words out of his mouth are, go eat a dick. I'm gonna just give him a perma. I'm not gonna even bother messaging him a second time. So it's one of those things, the reaction of the player as well as the circumstance, it all gets factored in. You might not think that a ban is appropriate, you know, appropriate length for somebody, and that's why you're not the admin who placed it.
Yeah. In appeals, I often see people saying, "Oh my god, a permaban. That's not deserved." And they would, apply their own standards of what should be a permaban and what shouldn't. And I think I've said this last time, but I'm gonna say it again: is that if I want you to make an appeal, I will permaban you, and you will have to go to our forums and explain yourself, explain why you did this and that, and how you have read our rules and won't do it again, because that's all what it all boils down to. If you do something wrong, and I believe that you are currently just doing it for the fuck of it, it wasn't a genuine mistake, then you can take some time off, make me an appeal, and thereby you put effort into being unbanned. Then you come back, maybe after a day or something. You come back and you had to use your effort in getting unbanned, so you're much less likely to actually go ahead and do that again. That's the way we've always done this, and for me, it has worked pretty good over the past 3 years.
It's all pretty subjective when it comes to each case. Like that ban time thread that False mentioned, it's kind of outdated, really.
Yeah.
Nobody.
We've tried a heap of those. I think it gets this idea that the rules are like space law, where you do X offense, you get X minutes of ban, and that just leads to people gaming the system or various things where we prefer that admins are allowed to use their judgment. And some, like Dum is actually the master of talking griefers into crying, basically,
Into
and
submission.
apologizing, blubbering messes. He's amazing at that. But you don't necessarily have the time to do that when it's 120 player round and you're the only one on and you're hungover.
Hey.
Like, for example, the ban time thread says that excessive violence as a non-antag is like 3.5 days to a perma. That's
very outdated.
That's not what's being applied right now at all. It's pretty much, it's really just outdated because it just didn't work. It was just a bad idea to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with timed bans is it leads to a worth it mentality. That's exactly my problem with them.
Yeah, it's what Scientific said. With it, I get to kill a fur beast, I only get a half a day ban for it, so it's worth it. But yeah, I hope that brings some insights into why we permaban more often than not, and we do have a lot of them. Our 1000th permaban being Necladon himself, after I saw that we had 999 permabans, and promptly banned him.
Fun fact, according to the ban thread, reading Woody's Got Wood would get you 5-day ban, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it will get you a perm ban anyways.
But as said, like, going, I'm not going to have internet for 5 days. Well, fuck it, I'll read Woody's Got Wood is not the mentality we want people to have when it comes to banning.
Another question I saw at the start of the meeting was they asked us if we could give a little bit more insight into how the admin hierarchy works, and I said, yeah, we could do that. So how it works is that we have a nifty little thing called the admin forum, where admins have access. What they do there is that we give them information and all that. So on top of that, again, we have something called the senior admin forum, and that's where the magic happens. And then there's the head admin cupboard, which is never used because they're lazy. So what we have is that the normal admins, the game admins, they work as kind of a first line of defense. They are given every permission in game except for the ability to give more permissions or take away. So they are given a lot of responsibility when they go from trial to normal. So they are our main driving force. They can suggest changes. They are our eyes and ears when it comes to server population and how the community feels about certain things, as well as what we can see and what we see on the forums. Other than that, they don't have much power to change large-scale things. Then there's the trial admins, and trial admins are given much less power in-game. They can't do event stuff. They are mainly used to, learning the ropes and how we admin the server and how our mentality of permabans, for example, are used. So they kind of, sit back and observe how the game admins do things, and when we feel that they are ready for game admins themselves, they are given all these new permissions, and hopefully they get help using the new tools, shaping their own events and such. And then there's the GAs learn everything over again. And then there's the senior admins, and I recently asked our admin team, what do you think what do you mean a senior admin is? And I got a lot of good responses for that. And it basically boils down to a admin who is dedicated to their work, has been here for a long time, and kind of follows the mentality of making Paradise bigger and better. They also are a leader figure for other admins to look up to, and has the ability to cut down on a case and decide on a controversial matter. So what we look for in senior admins are just that. So when we vote for them, for instance, we look for people who are very dedicated in their work and wants to make Paradise better, other than just admitting the server. I'm not saying that we don't appreciate all the countless hours admins put into the service, just that senior admins have their own little quality with them, which we look for. And in the senior admin forum, there's a lot more server changes. As I said before, we had as Neko called it, major fucking change, where you would need a majority vote from the seniors and the head admins to get a change through. What this means is that some changes might take a little bit longer to go through because we have a 5-day voting period, but it makes it much more consistent. Instead of having one head admin deciding everything, we make sure that our changes are in favor of all the senior admins present. So in a way, senior admins work also as a kind of council with the head admins. And of course, there are some things that are only head admin things. For instance, who should be actually made into the game admins. They take care of some of the announcements and Patreon, and when we have made a decision on something, they are the ones who actually carries that out and makes it go live. Or sometimes I'm the one who does it. I'm sorry, I can't pay attention to the meeting and look at the forum to explain these sorts of things.
So a bit more on the appeals, though. I'd like to say
sure.
with banning is basically that
making people better players and everything is something that you can only do so well. And in the end, plenty of people are actually quite young. So a lot of people you'll see may have actually had several appealed successfully permabans. And I mean literally, 5 or 6 at various times at most. By then it's 7 strikes and you're out. We really do want to be able to have mercy on people, and especially with the ages of some of the people here. If something you did 2 years ago means they're 14 as opposed to 16, they can be hugely different. And in the end, we have to judge certain things. So just because you do get permabanned for something and successfully appeal it, doesn't mean we're not still watching you.
We're always watching
What a
you.
better player is a deep, deep question. And reporting us to Google won't help you get unbanned, as we've been threatened with recently. That doesn't work. Yeah, that guy, he's odd. So yeah, player complaints I think can help a lot. And please do keep the salt out of the player complaints most of all. Keep it simple and to the facts, and accept when we say we've looked into this and they've been warned. And if you think someone's been warned too many times and want to at least know what's up, let us know. We do look for the actual effect things are having on the community. If someone's behavior is constantly borderline, then unless we're getting lots of people's complaints about it, we may be letting it on one side of the border when it has stepped over. And that includes just general memery. If someone playing fucking an incredibly stupid captain every single round is getting too much and you think they're going a bit over the line with us, do let us know. Yeah, hung daddy for captain. Rev is a really... Honestly, the biggest reason that Rev is out of rotation is because Rev is the worst thing to admin ever. The amount of A helps you get during Rev as an A admin is just fucking awful. And the goddamn attack logs and just everything. Rev is one of the things that, like, half the time, just fuck it. Just ignore it. De-admin, join in, and the bloodbath is all you want to do. Nations, honestly, was kind of what we were hoping would evolve into Rev 2.0. Nations is fundamentally flawed.
Oh yeah, region. I think you mentioned the flavor text thing that was added recently.
Ooh, right. Yeah, I could talk about that. Let me bring up the actual rule here. Yeah. The rule goes as follows. Your character's flavor text should only contain information that any other character could ascertain at a glance. This includes, but is not limited to, height, build, eye and hair color, musculature, etc. Any characteristic that would be not be physically visible at a glance, such as personality, backstory, and so on, should not be included in the flavor text. Providing a link to a drawn art of a character is acceptable, though must remain not safe for work in boundaries. And the reason why we added that is because we saw an increase in flavor text. That was basically you feel
God awful.
yeah, fucking so bad. it was so bad that they would try to describe the feeling you get from looking at a character. For instance, you feel slightly aroused from just looking at them, or this character is very suspicious of the horrible. My character was in the Marines, and that's why he's combat trained. So we have added a rule to make it much more specific to just the physical appearance of your character, so that we could hopefully cut down on the god awful fucking snowflakes that emerge from it. Because really, your character is not a spec ops ex-military super scientist engineer that just got out of the mutation pool and is now the strongest Superman ever.
And people can't see that by looking at you.
Yeah.
The other side of it is people who are just, basically treating it entirely out of character and just putting a meme in it. I've seen flavor texts of dicks out for Harambe. So,
Let me find the actual images I found. Here we go. A very attractive girl with a big smile and always cheerful. She seems to be very clingy and happy, very fond of physical contact. On her chin you see a scar, and her eyes slightly glowing, somehow showing some deep, dark secrets that she will never reveal. Her bust is a double D size with what could be considering breaking uniform standards when it comes to showing skin. She's usually wearing cat ears and a tail because she loves cats. And then that face, and she's often heard nyawing to herself. Her friends always saw her as a giggly one. They always thought she was a real special friend to them. They even nicknamed her Special because she was such a great friend. But behind the curtains, they all knew she was just trying to hide something! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Her parents were killed during a syndicate raid, and she was taken care of by Nanotracen. After realizing her great potential, Nanotracen set her to extensive secret military training to become a part of the NT Secret Service. Which is just one example of...
That your character?
No, that's not my character's description at all. I think you have the wrong guy, mate.
So I have to admit to everyone one bit of admin abuse I did to someone who mentioned being a 17-year-old super soldier trained in every department was that I set 4 of the traitors on board, all with them as an assassinate target because, obviously there's some NT super soldier project we need to assassinate that person.
Yep.
Back when I was a trial admin, I was actually talking to a captain I didn't know, and she admitted to me that she was actually secretly covering up her identity and was actually on the run from Nanotracen. So I told Dave, and he took care of that with a death squad. It was really fun.
Fucking Navy SEAL, yeah. It's we hope to have a decrease in flavor text like that, although they are somehow hilariously funny to read. If I can find something else. Yeah, here's a good one. He's a very beautiful guy in girl's clothes. However, he is very cute. Without attention, everyone can fall into his trap. His femboy module is activated. And that is an actual serious flavor text of someone.
Was that the one that basically said, no, fuck it, we're changing the rules on this?
That is one of those which I just said, you know what? This can't go on. I think that's the one I said, okay, fuck it, I want this guy's head on a spike. But yeah, they are very upsetting.
And honestly, yeah, that's trying to roleplay too hard. That's what I mean by when I say some people should.
I should probably make a Cyberian crew records for Snowflake because I can't use her anymore.
And honestly, I don't get people's need to make such really, really special, distinct, unique characters like that when you're already someone on a goddamn space station,
Because my character is the best. My character is always the best. I always win. My character is the main person in this story. You cisgendered, stupid head admin could never understand my character. Snowflake racist. Snowflake is now its own race, brother.
So,
Snowflake kin, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think everyone in light of this should at least update their flavor text so it doesn't break any rules, so I don't have to ban you or anything.
And on that kind of thing, though, remember that, you know, having good flavor text yourself is more likely to encourage at least decent flavor text in other people. So if you think something like that in the game is a problem, apart from bringing it up on, you know, forums and Discord and actually talking to people about it and being like, hey, we should change this, also look at, you know, doing it yourself and trying to encourage people to do it if it's already possible.
Yeah. Apparently, people have been having "don't convert me" in their flavor text, which is, you know, just plain out very bad. If I see someone with a flavor text that tells me to not convert them, I will most likely run up to them and use my stun paper to convert them. Yeah. One thing I definitely do not enjoy are people who will suicide because they were converted.
Honestly, I hate suicide in game in general. There's
Yeah.
so few times it's ever actually really that appropriate.
Yeah, you will get banned if you suicide after you've been converted, because in terms of Shadowlings, for instance, your mind is altered to only want to serve the Shadowlings. You want to make them win based on what they do to your head. So why on God's green earth would you want to suicide to help them benefit from their goal? It's just not in your nature anymore. So if you do have a problem with getting converted, at least you can message an admin and they can change your body with someone else who actually wants to be an Antag.
Yeah, I don't think the actual suicide verb is really that good a thing overall.
The only reason we have it is because if we don't have it, they will just hit themselves with any object that they can find.
Which makes a fucking mess, and at least you know that, yeah, at least you know not to need to clone them or investigate it or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, code-wise and gameplay-wise, we want people to be able to hit themselves in the head because, you know, that's the kind of game it is.
If you fuck
That's
up
one
and
of
click
those real
yourself,
compromises.
I've seen people fuck up and hit themselves in the head with the toolbox instead of the target, which is always great.
So many times.
So great.
I mean, I guess we could make it in the rules that you're not allowed to kill yourself at all without good reason. And that's kind of subjective thing, and the amount of admin involvement that would require is fucked. And making it subjective up to the so many things of when you're allowed to do that is weird. Yeah, I think it's basically a terrible rule forcing that kind of thing. But on the other hand, I would prefer that people don't go kill themselves because the hop took 5 minutes longer than normal.
Yeah.
Obviously, in some ways, I would actually like that to be a thing, that you're not allowed to go basically act in such an out of character fashion. But actually enforcing that properly and everything is not the kind of server I really want to run. But I do. On the other hand, if you're in a command position, you're not allowed to just go kill yourself for no fucking reason. And I would like to see that maybe extended across more things, but I'm happy to accept that civilians, everyone well knows that being on a space station has an increased 10,000% chance of suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, being a clown known as, you know, Bozo the sad clown and killing yourself in front of the bridge is a perfectly justifiable reason, I think. Yeah, with how people react to cloning and that, I mean, considering how backup clones can work and be activated, I can imagine after a few years of cloning existing going, fuck it, why should I like catch the shuttle back to CENTCOM? It'll be quicker for me to just kill myself and then get cloned at CENTCOM. CMD is one of those perfect examples of something that is just still so hard to enforce properly, and you know, it would be actually fun to maybe make some parts of CMD, like I don't know, after you're cloned, it removes your fucking PIN number from your notes.
Regarding CMD, it's not exactly fun for a traitor to, murder someone only to be completely caught out, when they get found and cloned. That kind of just encourages traitors to completely space or destroy a corpse, which isn't fun for the player who is dead, because they basically have no chance of coming back at all.
Actually enforcing a rule though where people are meant to forget so much stuff gets a lot tougher. But yeah, if a guy comes out of cloning and screams who your murderer is, then that means you have to permanently remove people from rounds. And that's kind of annoying. Server is restarting. Yeah, the other part for CMD is just continually having to roleplay that same thing over and over again, which is also why I hate, for instance, roleplaying, oh my god, vampires are real every 5th round or whatever. That's the kind of thing I don't want to enforce in either law or rules. Honestly, I kind of assume that security at least always suspect that there's at least one traitor on the station, at the very least trying to steal a jetpack. And that, like, quite literally, there would be a syndicate agent on every single shift. They might not necessarily be on active duty, mind you.
I like how yesterday we actually made Xenos 10 minutes into the round, and when there was the communication thingy about different life forms being on board, somebody just went, oh yeah, it's probably just borers. And nobody really took the threat seriously until everybody spotted the Xenos running around. It's pretty funny.
And we as admins just love fucking with your meta in general, so anything with Antags like that is always fun to basically find a way to fuck with, especially because it just throws people in so much, and we love to see the salt. In general, though, I think Xenos are a problem currently with how they are, and there's another server that's done the Xenos thing so much better than us that at times I think we should almost replace Xenos entirely. Yeah, go for it, Ping.
Okay, there we go. All right. I'm not sure how well my connection is since I'm sort of in the car driving to work. Like I'm getting crippled. But I actually really do like Xenos the way they are, out of rotation. And that's a bit weird to hear, but I like them a lot just because they are completely unbalanced. Like Xenos are broken from a gameplay standpoint, but because of that, they're Antags that people have to fear. After a while, like we've played this game for a long time, and we've been through dealt with traitors for a long time, dealt with changelings for a long time, and it sort of becomes trivial. Once you see a changeling, it's not like the fear factor isn't there. It's just sort of like, oh, there's never changeling, let's deal with it. Oh, I lost to the changeling, that's annoying. With Xenos, because they can kill you at any moment, people immediately start fearing them, and it actually makes for interesting RP. That's just from my opinion, though, and that's just because the Xeno rounds that we've had done have been voted on by the community. They've wanted to have that sort of chaos going on, and it's not actually in the rotation. So, like, as a one-off thing, I think Xenos are great the way they are.
Yeah, I have to agree that some of the roleplay that Xenos can create is great, and you really get to, see characters, and you get to define your character well by whether you make a last stand, whether you go back for a friend, whether you try to evac off station.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
some of my favorite rounds have been Xeno rounds, just because the station gets screwed over. And yeah, as Love said, a lot of people do end up giving up, but I think that's mostly in terms of the event Xenos. For round-end events like the ones that appear around like 1330, like where Blob are and Xenos are. Like once you have to like start dealing with Xenos for a long time, they do definitely get on your nerves. And heck, I wouldn't mind just removing Xenos entirely and only making them an ambiguous scene when people want them. Because after a while, yeah, Xenos are not fun to play against.
I mean, in a lot of ways, I think this goes into how we define balance. And we've all got stories of Xenos absolutely steamrolling or being steamrolled. And Space Station 13 is so dynamic that the situations can change to advantage one or the other so much. But the idea, on the other hand, of something like Xenos that means potentially, no matter how hard you try and do everything, there's a fair chance you're going to lose anyway, means you just have to look at changing your objectives. And I don't think that's something you always want is a game mode where you're going to lose. But if you're just a cargo tech and Xenos aren't winning, you can redefine your objective as get to mining and live, or do so many other things, and it allows you to define whether you're the kind of head of security to make a desperate last stance and try to shoot them all. If you're going to try to rescue the civilians, if you're going to try to nuke the station, killing everyone. I think that's where a lot of a roleplay can really come out in characters, is defining your objectives and how you do them. And a desperate situation like that can really make for some great moments, rather than just talking about your backstory at the bar. And that's one of the things we really try to get with a mix of roleplay and action, I think, that works well, is giving hugely desperate situations where you can do really character-defining, out-there things that really say a lot, rather than just the way that you pick up or what drink you order. It tells a lot more about someone of what decision they make in that time.
By the way, for the people that are talking about, yeah, I can't wait for Terror Spiders to replace Xenos, don't have your hopes up too high, because I talked to Kidan. He is really passionate about that project, and he essentially designed it so that they would still be a complete threat to the station. Like, maybe they might be a bit better to fight against instead of xenomorphs, but they're still going to be very punishing and very unforgiving. And he intentionally was looking forward to the amount of salt that would come because of the Terror Spiders. So don't have your hopes up too high. Like, don't treat Terror Spiders as a savior, because there's a very high chance you might hate them. I love them though, just because of what they do. Like, they are definitely mobs that will hopefully keep people scared. If only Kit was here. Why is Kit never showing up at meetings?
I don't know, what time is it over there?
Oh yeah, okay, I had time. I think he probably wakes up fairly late because he's in West Coast.
He's nocturnal. And yeah, West Coast nocturnal.
I definitely want to drag him into one of these meetings, just like.
The other major problem with Xenos, I think, is that they just go to virology these days. And there probably should just be a button that, if Xenos just nuke virology, yeah, being able to infect monkeys in general, I think, is just wrong. My favorite game, not counting Space Station 13, I've been hitting a lot of Hearts of Iron lately, Cataclysm, DDA. Those have been the main ones I've been hitting lately, actually. I actually finally played GTA 5. Yeah, I saw Scientific posting on the Hearts of Iron forums as well. Reddit. And yeah, the meeting is officially over. I'm just talking shit now.